Hi everybody, welcome to another life coaching Q&A. I want to talk about something that was brought up in one of our group sessions. The group sessions are pretty interesting because you get to hear what other people have to say and other questions they have about a similar topic. And a lot of times they're things you're thinking about, but you don't know how to put into words, but somebody else does. And we do it all anonymously in a group session. So we'll have about 8 to 10 people, and I'll deal with the most pertinent question that each person has that kind of relate to the topic we're talking about. And I'll usually refer to them not by name, so everybody remains anonymous, but usually by their area code, which can be anybody, So I'll say 205, are you there? Or 918, are you there? 818, are you there? And so that person becomes that area code. So whatever they have to say, they can feel free to talk about it openly, and nobody's giving away anybody's names or their personal issues. But they get a chance to be honest, and maybe for the first time really ask an honest question, and because they're trying to move forward in some area of their life. And it's so great because so many people are dealing with a similar issue. One night we were talking about how to deal with a fatal health diagnosis, because I know something about it, having gone through cancer. And one of the questions somebody brought up was a pretty basic one. How do you maintain a positive attitude and move forward when you're suffering from debilitating pain? I've heard about this for so many years. So many people that get addicted to painkillers. We've heard about Michael Jackson. Those of you that remember Burt Reynolds, he had addiction to painkillers. These guys had really bad, serious injuries, and sometimes when they're on the set, Michael Jackson had most of his head burned off, and the pain it tore like his hair off. So you'd never know it, because when he was out performing, he just as that performer. Or Burt Reynolds, he's a real life tough guy. And he had something to do with his jaw was broken, and but it was from some stunt that went wrong. He did a lot of his own stunts, and they take these painkillers to kind of get the pain so they feel normal again. It's not that they're still getting high on them, but they just want to feel normal. They want to be able to function without throbbing pain, because if you've ever had a bad toothache, all you can think about is that tooth. I mean, that tooth owns you. You can't think, you can't function, you're just groaning. And it's hard. When I went through cancer treatment, we did this thing where they have to get your stem cells out of you to freeze them, so that if you come back for the treatment, you'll have your own stem cells to put back in your own body. But the way they get it is they give you this injection, and the injection causes, since the stem cells come from your bones, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but it comes from your bones, and they have a way of extracting it, but the bones have to expand, so it's like your bones are actually getting bigger, and the pain that you experience is so bad. It's so bad. I remember putting my hands on the edge of the bed and not being able to move because the pain was so great, and I didn't know where it was coming from, because it was my bones that was growing all over, all my bones. So I couldn't move to even get on the bed, just to lay down. It hurt so bad. I couldn't move my body just to get on the bed. Ultimately, they had to give me this drug called Dilaudid. Woo! Dilaudid, man. When they said Dilaudid, I remember reading an Elvis bio. You see, he had glaucoma, and so he had a lot of issues. He had some pain issues himself, but he took Dilaudid every day. See, when you're Elvis, you can take it every day. You can find somebody give it to you. Man, they put this Dilaudid in me. This is like a cool breeze went through my whole body, and it's like I floated up in the air. There was an old cartoon where this dog, you give him some food, and he's a cartoon, he goes, and he floats back down again. I felt like that little puppy, just the most wonderful feeling. I loved everybody. Everybody was my friend. Everybody was wonderful. Everybody was beautiful. The world was a wonderful place. Flowers were brighter. Water tasted good. I mean, but it was a painkiller. It was like one of the most strongest painkillers you have. And when you're in the hospital, they give it to you, like a needle intravenous. So you don't have to like take a pill and wait for it to get through your system. It's just like instant. And I could totally see how somebody can get addicted to this. Man, I was thinking of reasons to go back and get another pain shot. It's like, my back, it's like, I can't when I twist this way. And they would say, well, here, have an ibuprofen. It's like, oh, no, what about the Dilaudid? Oh, no, it's not for that. You'll be fine. It's like, oh, man, I went through this whole thing, this whole big act to get some Dilaudid. So I understand, a little bit about pain. A lot of it has to do with the, and I know this is easy to say, but I've been through some of it, and I've been through people who have been through some of it, but a lot of it's going to have to do with your attitude and the way you perceive pain in order to get through it. Because if the pain's not going away, you have to figure out some way how to put the emotion, the feeling of that pain into another compartment in your brain so that you can move on. One of the best examples of somebody who achieved, global status and effectiveness and lived daily with pain was JFK, John Kennedy, the President of the United States in 60 to 63, and he was assassinated in 63. We all know who JFK was. But when he was in the war, I believe it was in the 40s, during World War II, he was driving a PT boat with a bunch of guys on there. He was in the Navy, and the PT boat was rammed by a Japanese destroyer and just split in half. And he hurt his back. He had Addison's disease anyway, which is a deterioration of the body, and especially the bones. So he was in the hospital on and off and on and off, and he had so many operations, and daily he had agonizing, throbbing pain, and he had to have shots for it, and sometimes he took too many shots. And just to give you an example how bad this was, he had to wear it like a girdle, a brace, every single day just to keep his back erect. Otherwise, the pain was just so great. There's a couple scenes where his little boy's running out to him, and the helicopter is landing on the front lawn. You have to have seen it, and he's bending over to pick his boy up, and he can't pick him up. And he's just sort of like pats him on the behind because his back is so wrecked. He can't pick up his, 20 or 30 pound boy. I guess, I don't know what a kid weighs when he's like 2, 30 pounds. He couldn't pick him up. This is a big guy. His back was so bad. When he was assassinated, he was in the car. If you remember, you've all seen that video of the JFK assassination. John Connally was in the front. He was in the back seat. John Connally was shot, and he falls over into his wife's lap. JFK was shot as well, but he couldn't fall over into Jackie's lap because his back brace held him erect. And that back brace held him erect so the gunman could fire another time and actually hit him. Had he would have not had that on, he could have fallen into his wife's lap just like John Connally fell into his wife's lap. And that was one of the reasons was because of that debilitating pain he had every single day, every day of his life. But he became president. And he achieved great things. Because somehow, somewhere along the way, you learn how to deal with it. Pain tells us some things about ourselves. Pain tells us that that part of our body that is aching is still alive. It's not dead. If you have pain in your legs, that means those legs are still alive. Those nerves are firing. That leg is trying to get healed. It's fighting to be healed. And the pain is like moving it towards a healing. We want to dull the pain. But how do we know when we dull the pain if we're making any progress? A weightlifter, they say no pain, no gain. He pushes that weight off, and as he's pushing the weight off, he's tearing muscle. And when that muscle's tore down and there's pain, then it fills back up, but because it's torn down, it fills back up bigger. That's how they get bigger muscles, because they tear the muscles down, the muscles build up with blood, and they become bigger and bigger. It's just it's because of pain. Pain tells you that area of you is still alive. The pain of the past tells you there's a part of you that's still alive, that still cares. Sociopaths don't have pain of the past because there's a part of them that's dead. Part of them that doesn't care, doesn't mean anything, they don't feel anything. That's why they can kill anybody and not feel a thing. That's why some mobsters, they have 30 hits. Taking human life, maybe at first it was painful, but then they disassociated with it and didn't feel any pain no more, no emotional pain. If somebody loses a limb or it's amputated, there's no pain. I'm sure some of those folks who have had a leg that's amputated would love to be able to feel that leg again and feel the pain, because that means the leg is there. So it depends on how you perceive it, on how you'll be able to deal with it moving forward. And in medicine, there's so many new ways that are coming out every day to deal with pain and to push the pain back. And I understand most people that get hooked on pain killers. You start off trying to just be normal because you just want the pain to go away so you can feel normal again. And then you start to get past that normal, and then this drug becomes a part of your system. And then you're hungry for it. Like I took that Dilaudid. Whew, that Dilaudid was my best friend, I'll tell you. I could see if I could have convinced them to give it to me every day, by the time I got out of the hospital, just a month later, I'd have been addicted to Dilaudid. Thank goodness they didn't give it to me, but it can happen that fast because you just want to feel normal again. And I understand what you're going through. And I understand also that in many times, pain is a sign something is still alive. Something's still there, and it still wants to get well. So in some ways, you have to look at the pain in a positive light, because that means there's a part of you that has not been amputated yet, and it can still be healed, whatever that area is. I'm not saying I'm going to give you the answer to get pain out of your life, but you can subside it, you can dull it, you can lessen its effectiveness, and you can move forward with your life if you learn how to put it in the right emotional compartment. Pain is a sign you're still alive. Pain is a sign you're still here. Pain is a sign that part of you is still trying to get healed. And in that regard, it's not the negative you may have interpreted it to be. It's a positive. It's a negative on its way to a positive, as opposed a negative on its way to a more negative. It's different when there's a negative on its way to a positive. Jesus knew that. Because of the cross, for the joy that was set before him, he endured the pain. He endured the cross. He suffered that pain for the joy that was set before him. So sometimes you have to think about the end of what that pain represents. in order to deal with it at the time.